So I mentioned, you know, if you're in business selling products or services, you should look at what the Generation Y kids are doing, because your business will have to adapt to that generation. But also your attitude, your knowledge of the world needs to adapt into the way that they're working. Well, the anecdotes I use when I'm speaking, because I think people like the stories, because then they can think, yeah, is I use an example of when we were sitting as a family watching a television programme like 24, which is very complex counter-terrorism. And my kids, I'm watching it, and if somebody coughs, I say rewind. Whereas the kids can have their iPod in their ear, they're online on their MacBook, they're surfing, they're talking on MSN, they're on Facebook, and yet they can tell me what's going on. And why is it? And then I explain that actually they've proven that anatomically the brains are wired differently now, because the brain has got infinite skills if you actually create the connections between the two nodes in the brain. And we didn't have to do that when we were children. We didn't have the stimulus, but now the kids are, and they have connected. And they're actually, the next generation are a new species. It's not just a question they've had technology. They actually are going to be wired differently because they've stimulated their brains differently. And then I talk about that's the hardcore skills, yeah. But then I talk about the behaviour of my children in terms of the way they share. So Hannah, when she revised over Christmas and worked really hard for her O-levels, her GCSEs, and she realised that a load of her friends hadn't managed to do that, rather than thinking, yeah, I'm above them, I'm ahead of them in competition, she shared all her revision notes with them so that they could catch up really quickly with her. That's a winning by sharing mentality. That's let's all raise our game together, because then this world's going to be a better place. That is not the world we grew up in. And that's something you have to learn, and that when you have that attitude online, that's when life changes. It's about not keeping things close to your heart, and that's the other story that's good to get across. And one's the sort of hard skills, one's the soft skills.